All right, I see people joining. Hello out there in Facebook land. We are just getting started. So, like I always ask, if you're here with us, tell us your name, tell us where you are joining from. If you are on Facebook, please, go to StreamYard and register so that we can see your name along with your comment. Because if you don't do that, I don't know who you are. And I want to know who you are. I really, really do. I do.
We've got to know.
Right. We want to know. So we will give it a few moments. Again, if you're in the Facebook group on the Facebook page, drop us a note in the comment section. Where you're from, VA, Texas, Arizona, UK, Japan, anywhere.
UK would be, that's dedication.
I know. All right, we're going to go ahead and jump on in here. I'll leave that there for a little bit. So hello, good evening, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Welcome to By Design with Dr. Erika, the live version. Yay. We are a show focused on highlighting amazing women who are stepping out of the box, saying screw the let's try that again. Rewind. Saying screw the expectations of society and basically living on their own terms and living the life they were designed for. I am so excited about today's show because today we are welcoming Ashley Cook. Now, in her former life, Ashley worked in corporate in a variety of different roles, including sales, marketing, and analytics. But after 12 years in the daily grind, she said deuces to corporate and ventured out into her own to create Lane copywriting. But we're going to find a little bit more about that as we get into the conversation. And basically what she is able to do in her new ventures is that she is able to blend her love of words and her love of sales, and thereby allowing her to help overwhelmed entrepreneurs get their businesses going and growing through copywriting. So Ashley,
hello.
Welcome to the
Thank
show.
you.
I'm so excited to have you here.
I'm excited to be here. Thank you so much.
No problem. The interesting thing that people don't know, about us too, is that our stories are very similar.
Like eerily right. Similar.
The timeline of us, basically taking our lives back into our hands is very similar. So I'm excited to have you here.
Yes.
Now, Ashley, I introduced you, Ashley. And I said your name is Ashley Cook, Ashley.
Yes, you did. Yes, you sure did.
Yes, but your company is Lane Copywriting, Ashley. Help us out.
So there's a little bit of a funny story behind that piece. So Lane Copywriting, I named it because Lane is my middle name. It's my dad's middle name. I've always loved that name. And but when it came time to choosing the company, I was like, what do I name this? And I went through all these different these iterations and things that were kept. Either other people had thought of them before me and snagged the name. So I was thinking about it was right around the time when my then boyfriend and I were starting to get really serious and talking about marriage. And I was like, well, I'm going to have to lose my last name. But so I can't call it Ashley Cook Agency because I'm not going to be a cook for, what if I take his last name and I can't? And so out of this moment of, but I will always have my middle name. So that is going to be my business name. So that's how Lane Copywriting got started, is because I'm always Ashley Lane. Okay. Gotcha. That helps a little bit because I was confused and I was typing stuff up and I was like, wait, this is not the same person. I'm confused. Yes. So, okay. Wonderful. Middle name. Gotcha. Yes. So you have your company, Lane Copywriting, but I want to take a few steps back, and really get into your mind in terms of where you were, because you weren't always this entrepreneur, right? We talked about that you were in corporate America and, both of us stayed in corporate you stayed there for 12, I stayed for 16. We served a long sentence. Right? Right. Yeah. Voluntarily at that, right? Yes. Yeah, we signed up for that. So what
got you into corporate? Like, what was the driving force behind you choosing that career path initially?
Sure. So again, the way I make decisions is not always the clearest path. So growing up, I never really knew that we were poor growing up. I grew up in a small town in North Texas, and at one end was, Section 8 housing, which had like the best Christmas lights in town for us. And then at the other end of the street was a drug house. And I never really thought anything of it because, they went to church with us. So it was like no big deal. But, so you grow up and you're blinded to it, but the mindset can still kind of set in. And so, I remember when my brother announced that he wanted to go to college and become a teacher, there was some concern and some like criticism from different family members on like, you're not going to be able to afford your kids' shoes. Like there was this kind of you've got to be able to provide in a way like financial security, and this message of the only way to get out of poverty or low income was to climb out of it. And so when it came time for me to choose my major, I was really involved into theater. I'm a thespian, like love the arts. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to choose my major. Cause I wanted to be a writer. I wanted to be a teacher. I wanted to be a psychologist, like all these things. And then when it came time, I was like, okay, Ashley, like I love theater. I stage managing management business. I'm going to study business. And that's how right.
Wait. Stage management writing led to business.
Yeah, I can't claim that there was some connectors in there.
Okay.
I mean, I don't even know how I chose. So that's how I chose it.
Yes, it worked out.
Yeah, it worked out. I'm going to own it. I'm going to own how I chose it, because when I got into business school, I actually really struggled a lot. I went to UT Austin at Macomb School of Business, and loved Austin. It was, it was this small town girl going to big city, didn't know anybody. But I started getting into the classes and I hated them. I hated them all, like accounting, economics, all like it was such a bad fit. And I remember like wanting out and doing the research to get me out of here. I've been trying to get out from the beginning, Erika, is my point. But I didn't know what else I would do. And cue the story of my life up until last year, the back and forth dynamic of, business school leads you to a good job that will lead to a good income. And then that with the battle of, but I'm not wired this way, but what am I wired for? Mm-hmm. And so after graduating, I joined a company, moved up north, did a couple winters up there, and realized like I'm way too Southern for this, like sub-zero temps. And then hightailed it down to Mississippi. And then anyway, I bounced around for a bit with work and then grad school before getting back into corporate, but still all the while never feeling like it was the best fit. And I had friends tell me like, Ashley, you're the least business person I know. Not that I wasn't business savvy, but like, what are you doing in corporate America? I mean, I was the quarter life crisis victim who yeah. I mean, I quit my job in the middle of the Great Recession. There's a pattern. Anytime there's like a massive economic crisis, I pivot.
Wait, so this is the first time?
So I quit corporate once to go to grad school. Okay. And then I actually went to seminary out in California, to Fuller Theological Seminary. And I studied international development, poverty and development. I got my master's in intercultural studies, had loans that pulled me back into corporate. And
that will do it every time.
It'll do it. It's, the financial struggle is real, right? And that's a whole other soapbox, but it's that me having to provide for myself, and then, coming up with this belief of, do what you love on the side, but make sure that you have something that will earn you a good living, during the day. But I never knew how to like make those two kind of connect. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of how I got in it. And it's been a battle there were times I liked it, but there was always that struggle that would come back.
Right. So how did you said you struggled to make those two connect? What was the changing force that allowed you to find that connection, or allowed you to find, the path out of the dark side of the tunnel?
It's hard. It's hard when, you want out, you want another way, but you don't know what that looks like. And you don't want to, you're like, should I go back to school? Well, I don't want to end up kind of where I was before, where I'm signing up for more for more loans. And, you know, and then it's like, well, now what I thought I used to want to do, I don't know if I want to do because the environment's kind of changed. So what happened was there were a number of times where I came really close to getting out and completely pivoting. But then something would happen and the door would shut. And I would say, okay, well, I guess that didn't work out, and kind of back to square one. But last year, actually 2 years ago, the company that I was in, there were some organizational changes that happened in it and that was a role I actually was really still enjoying when these changes happened, and our team was halved and I was one of the ones who was left behind. And it just kind of kickstarted this, this intense period of almost 2 years where it was high anxiety. It was, you know, becoming an increasingly difficult environment, very demanding, but not in a way that was healthy for me. So that stress started to take its toll. So where it landed me was last year, I was the sickest I'd ever been. I had bronchitis 4 times, the flu, and pneumonia. And because I'm stubborn, hence the, 12, 13 years I was in corporate. And by the time I got pneumonia, I was like, I can't. I have to, this has to be the time that I get out. So it took me getting really, really sick.
Right. It's amazing how the stress and like frustration of being miserable sort of shows up in your body. And yes. I'm just cracking up because every time we talk, I'm like, oh my gosh, you are like my twin sister. Because that's the same thing. Like I was so prone to pneumonia. I had pneumonia like 4 times. Then I had DVTs. And it was just, I always got sick.
It's awful.
Yeah. But that's what happens when you're not sort of, I guess, in the zone of your genius and your excellence, and you kind of pushing yourself into this box that you know you don't fit into.
Your body, even it's weird because there's this odd disconnect between your brain and, yes, Pam, your body does tell you. It is so true. And your mind and your body have like competing messages. Cause I was like, I can do this. Just take another anxiety pill and just like, oh, go. Right. But then your body is like, you're getting sick. You're tired. You're stressed. Maybe your hair is falling out. Your body tells a different story.
Yeah. I actually ended up in the ER in your state.
Oh, you did?
Yes. Yes. Ended up in the ER.
Was that for the DVT? I think I remember you telling me about.
That was for pneumonia.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Pneumonia is no joke. It is, it'll take you out fast. And it's surprising to me because we always hear about the impact of stress on the body, but we never I'm like, oh, it's probably just whatever. And it was while I was puffing on an inhaler and like pumping steroids and laying on the couch, like wheezing, then I'm like, okay, it's time to listen to my body.
It's a lot. Okay. Yeah. My twin. Okay.
I'm sorry that we're twins in that way. I wish you would not have had pneumonia that much. It's a high cost
in other ways too. So we're twins on the good side as well. So we'll
yes.
So, okay. You had just like me, sort of this winding road to get to where you are. And, when you were talking about being in school, you said that you loved writing, right? Mm-hmm. Now, writing can be like a love or hate thing for some people. So what was it about writing that really stuck with you? Like, how did you know that was your shtick?
So I actually started the love for writing started when I was a kid, and I would write poetry, and I would write these like weird, quirky stories about like vampires with massive feet and like just kind of weird things for a kid. I always had a very active imagination, and so writing to me was a great outlet for it. I also loved poetry. I always leaned toward poetry because it kind of broke the rules of standard writing. And I actually never made that connection until just now that's kind of what that was drawn to. And that's a lot of what copywriting is, because whenever we're in school, we're taught to write a certain way. We're taught to write with rigid, strict grammar rules. Don't you dare end in a preposition, and we're taught to write these formal, long, lengthy sentences. And copywriting is like the complete opposite of that. It's writing how you speak. It's emotional connection. It, in some ways, I really resonate with like my love of poetry writing when I was a kid to that. And so for me, it was, I had never considered copywriting. I didn't know that it was a thing, but, I was like, well, I'd love to be a writer, but like, I can't crank out a book. Like that's like birthing a child. Like that's way intense. And then you have to market it. And then it wasn't like the best fit. So when I came across copywriting, it was such a great way for me to pivot and transfer my skills from corporate and my love of retail storytelling. And, I was the lead trainer for my team at my last company for training for writing selling stories for our sales teams to go out and sell our products. And so it was just like, it became this really great fit. And then this momentum, and I knew it was the right fit because the momentum surge that I felt within me, and I could feel myself coming alive. And when I talk about it, like my body wasn't being pulled down, and I was like being lifted up whenever I would speak about it. And that's how I think, it's an indicator that it's a good fit.
Right. Okay. So that actually brings up a good point. I want to go to the audience and kind of ask you guys, what's kind of your shtick? Have you found it yet? Are you still searching for it? What's that thing that, to Ashley's point, gets your mojo going and gets your momentum going? We'd love to hear from you and just kind of pick your brain as well. This is why we do the live ones, because we want to hear from you guys and we want to have like an open dialogue. So feel free to leave some comments. You talk about how like writing is really, your thing, like I said, gets your mojo. And I guess for me, it's very similar. Being able to highlight women and share women's stories is kind of what gets me excited, because in corporate, we didn't have anything. It's like,
it's the death of all dreams for many women, some women love it and they thrive in that, and all, power to them. But there's a lot of women in corporate who just aren't alive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you're kind of siloed in and you don't see these opportunities. Like to your point, you didn't even know that copywriting could be, a career opportunity. And I think that's something a lot of women face, is that they have these ideas, but they're like, that could never be a job. That could never be, something that I get paid for.
Yeah.
And
it is.
Oh, right. Exactly. I heard a story where a woman started selling candy apples, and she was selling them out of her house, and it became a business because bakeries wanted to know how to make those candy apples. So she created a online company to sell her candy apple making process to bakeries. So,
and it could be that simple. It's finding, if you are an expert in how do you change a diaper for the woman who cannot stand the smell?
Oh, that is me.
Like seriously, like how do you do? I don't have children, but I have, I have Chihuahuas. How do you groom a dog so that you're not paying like $40 or $50 a visit? Especially in a situation like this where people may not have that income. It's like finding what you're really good at and love, and there's an opportunity there. You just got to have the ability. I see Pam commented that she's still kind of fleshing out ways about coaching women who kind of went through what we did. That's awesome, because I would have loved to have had a coach who said, okay, you have this desire. Let me help walk you through it so you don't find yourself in this situation for another, a year from now, still wishing you were out.
Right. Still searching. I'm reading her comment now. Coaching corporate pivot. Like, okay. Yeah. Having somebody to kind of help you and walk you along the way is so paramount, because you can try and do it on your own. And granted, there are people that have done it on their own, but I can almost guarantee it's probably more difficult, and the process is going to be a lot longer if you try to do that on your own.
It's true, because there's so much resistance to leave, even within yourself. Yeah. And I mean, I convinced myself to stay for way longer than I should have. Hence, my body saying, get out, girl.
So what's been your favorite part of now, leaving that world behind and venturing into your own company and projects and work and life?
Cue the angels coming from the clouds and the deer like running out of the forest. Yes. You know what? I've never dreaded a Monday ever since I left. Yes. I wake up and I get excited about Mondays, and I know that seems hokey, and I know people are like, yeah, okay, Ashley, whatever, but it's so true. Like, I don't dread Mondays. And, in corporate, when I'd have to do networking events, it always felt so like disingenuous and like it just didn't feel like it had a good fit. And now I love talking to people about what they do. And if they want to know about what I do, great. But like, I want to hear like, because usually entrepreneurs are kind of like, they're in their zone. And I love hearing people who are in their zone because that gives me life and it just kind of feeds. And those are some surprises I didn't expect.
Yeah. Yeah. That Monday thing is great. Like going to sleep on Sunday and not,
right?
Miserable, having stomachache Sunday night because you have to go to work on Monday. It doesn't happen.
Yes.
Yes.
That Sunday dread. The Sunday dread's gone.
Yes. Yes. Pam says she gets it. That's
funny. Right. It's true.
We hear you, Pam. So, in what you're doing now, is there anything that I hate the word failure. I mean, it's a real word, but is there anything that you've done that, you were like, man, that went okay, but maybe next time I'll do X, Y, and Z, sort of like what you learned from in this process of making that transition from corporate to your lovely, amazing life as an entrepreneur?
So and I think this is probably going to be like my life banner challenge is, it's better to be done than to be perfect. And that's something that I'm so learning, in a number of ways. And being an entrepreneur is a great experiment. It's an experiment every day. And, you learn things that work well and you learn things that don't, but you're given, if you remember that you're always a learner and you can always just keep trying new things. When it came time, so when I was planning to leave corporate, it was starting in last fall. And, I put a plan in place and was going and I was actually planning to resign when COVID when everything shut down. And I mean, it was literally like I was going to resign that Monday. And the day before we got a note saying we're working from home because all is sheltering in place. And I was like, no. And I'm like, the world is shutting down. And I thought, well, okay, I can do this. Maybe it's not the right time. But it was actually a lot of fear. A lot of fear kept me in. And that kept me in for an extra month. And I realized it's not getting any better. It's getting worse in the sense of it's still not a good fit, but now it's in my house. And so I stayed in for another month. So for that, I don't regret staying in for the extra month. But I'm sure glad I didn't sign up for 2 months extra. I still waited too long. I wish I would have listened to my body sooner. So I think like now that I'm a few months out, giving myself permission to listen and, I don't have to be perfect. The plan can adjust. It's okay. Those are some of the things that have helped me kind of along the way.
Okay.
I'm still learning.
Yeah. So giving yourself permission to listen to your own body, knowing that, this whole thing it's changing every day in terms of the process. It's still a learning experience. Like you say, the experiment of it. And you mentioned that during that last month, you were fearful. And I know we talked about the fear of, having to pay student loans and finances. Was there anything else around fear that kind of kept you? Is that a loaded question?
There was so much fear. And it was, there was so much fear. And I actually got this book called Fear Is Not the Boss of Me because I was like, I feel like something's not right. Like, and maybe it's, and I was reading it and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm this book. And I realized that it was fear. Cause there's a mindset shifts that happen along the way whenever you are preparing to make a pivot. Cause not many of us are given the privilege of being able to or the opportunity to instantaneously leave or make a move. We have to plan. And so there's the mindset of how do you actually endure like mindset wise going through the plan. And then how do you actually pull the trigger when you've prepared and you've done the work. And so there was a lot of conversations and there was a lot of I know it's the right decision, but is it the right time? And a lot of fear, the fear was magnified because with copywriting, you're relying on, you're providing services to help entrepreneurs and with their online marketing. But when you have an economy that's essentially shut down, how do you do that? So then it was, okay, you know what? I plan for, X number of months. I know it's going to be a longer ramp up, but I've prepared, I'm going to go ahead and do it anyway. And, but there was that fear of like, well, what if we're shut down forever, ever, ever, ever,
Mhm.
you know? Because the fears get mad. They're like, maybe they're based on like a little nugget of truth, but then they just like balloon out.
Right, right, right.
And my brain's a little prone to the drama. So it's like, it magnifies pretty
Right.
easily.
Okay. So the fear of it being the right time.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And did I prepare enough? Did I
Mhm.
plan enough? Am I a lunatic for leaving in the middle of a pandemic?
Well, then we're lunatics together. Okay. So,
Right. I'm okay. Crazy is good company. I'm okay with that.
yeah, no, but waiting for that right time, I don't think there was ever going to be a right time for me. Like it was never, the stars were never going to align, and it just wasn't going to happen.
No.
I think COVID and the pandemic made it the right time because, it's like you said, we were in our homes working, we were locked down. And if you
Yeah.
couldn't find joy in your job while you were locked down in your house, in your pajamas.
I mean, the great part is there was no commute. So I got an hour and a half back in my day for that. So I was more well rested, which
Mhm.
probably helped from like handling it from a stress
Right,
level.
right.
But, half my team left in a month. And
Yeah.
so it was there, even in the midst of a disruptive economy around us and disruptive society, everything was going awry. Even my team was going through disruption. So you just have
Mhm.
that chaos magnified and you're like,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
I got to execute my plan, y'all.
Exactly.
It's time to drop out.
And you're not looking back.
I have not missed it. I have not missed it once. I've not regretted it once. I was telling my fiance, when we were talking about like, COVID it elongates kind of a ramp up
Mhm.
in some ways. And which has been actually great because it's created some space for some cool projects. But I was like, please don't make me go back. Don't ever let me go. I can't go back to this. So I'm pretty determined that it was such the right call.
Right, right. The one thing that I've gathered or that I've been able to do since I have left, like you said, I haven't looked back. I love my Mondays. It was amazing now how I look at my workday so much differently. Like when I was in corporate, it was like I have to be at work at 7 and I have to do this, that, and the other. And I never made time for like just the quiet moments
Yeah.
and just the reading moments. And I've been able to incorporate that into my life so seamlessly now and
That's great.
still, work and get things done, but the stress is not there. So
It makes a difference. It's actually quite amazing, the stress comparison. Like you could feel it, you just don't feel it. And so you're able to go through your workday excited and energized and you're
mhm,
seeking things out and you have the ability to create that space to
mhm,
think and to be thoughtful, which often in corporate,
right.
you're just running, the phrase, you're drinking from a fire hose,
Oh yeah,
and you don't have time to stop drinking to be able to think, well, maybe there's a better way. Maybe there's a better
right,
fire hose.
right.
Or let me get the hose and actually hook it up so I'm not drinking that water.
Exactly, exactly. All right, cool. So now you mentioned you've been able to do a lot of different projects. So what's going on at Lane Copywriting right now?
So I'm writing for a number of clients and I love it. I love being able to partner with different entrepreneurs and like writing websites is my favorite kind of copy to write. It's just,
Why?
because I get to talk with business owners and get this full understanding of what is their voice, who is their target audience, what problem are they trying to solve. And I get to in a number of different ways, because it's often multiple pages I'm writing, be able to do like nerd out on all the research, because I am a research nerd and I love going in and and getting all the insights in the market, industry, and competitive analysis and all that part. And then I get to like transition it into the craft of writing and do it across multiple pages so that it helps reflect the voice of the business owner. Because oftentimes business owners really struggle if they're not trained in writing or they don't like to write. They have a hard time being able to connect the solutions that they offer and the passion that they have to the problem of their audience, of their target audience. And so I love being able to bridge that for them and write the words that they would love to be able to communicate out. And then you can do all the geeking out with search engine optimization and back end, like meta descriptions and all that technical kind of stuff, which is cool too. But I don't know, it became my favorite kind of copy, and I love it. Yeah. So that's the four, like when I write for clients, that the other projects that I've been working on, which I know we talked about the name Lane Copywriting, and that's kind of not as easy to remember, but what I found through my time in corporate and the transitioning to copywriting is that I actually have a process that I use whenever I write any kind of copy, and I call that my ASAP method. So it's ASAP method for writing compelling copy quickly. It helps me to be efficient. And the ASAP is an acronym, and so it stands for actor, shrink, author, and polisher. Because oftentimes there's a couple of reasons why writing copy is so hard. One is we are not trained to write the way that we talk. We're trained in school to write very formal, rigid grammar rules, stuff like that. Copywriting is the opposite. Shorter is better. You can write in phrases. You're writing in the way that people speak, the common vernacular versus this more kind of formal way. The second way is a reason why it's hard is because it's actually multiple jobs into one. So, and that's the 4 jobs into one, which makes up my proprietary process, which really quickly, A is for actor. So not in the way that you might think. It's actually before an actor goes on stage, they have to do all the character analysis. So that's where I help clients understand who's their target audience, what are their pain points, what is it they're struggling with and looking for. And then we go into the second part, which stands for shrink, or because I'm a big Frasier Crane fan, it's the psychology part. And that's where, how do you emotionally connect with them through your writing in a way that doesn't feel sleazy or slimy or salesy? Then we actually get to the writing part, and how do you write for the multiple audiences that you're trying to cater to? How do you write for a skimmer versus an in-depth reader? And then we ended up with polishing. So how do you spit shine it to make it really pop and really stand out? So from the ASAP process, I've started, I'm in the process now of creating some DIY workshops, but I'm launching the ASAP Copy Club, where if you're an overwhelmed entrepreneur who just wants copy, to write copy better, and to write it quicker, they can join this member area or this membership group and copy community, where they can receive ongoing support and training and access to a copywriter for a fraction of what it would cost to have someone do it all for you.
Okay. That's awesome, because
a lot's going on.
Yeah. But no, I like what you said about the ASAP. I didn't know that actually stood for something. And I like writing. I hate copywriting. It drives me crazy, because you're right. We don't write like we talk. And I tend to try and get my stories and my feelings out. And it becomes this whole
the novel.
pain. Yeah. So I think your services will definitely be needed for entrepreneurs.
It's a mind shift change, and oftentimes that actually I found keeps business owners from moving forward with selling their product or their service, because they don't know how to do the writing part. Mm-hmm. And so I can either do it all for them, or with the ASAP copy and coaching kind of spinoff, the company that I've just kind of created recently, it's actually giving them the skills, bite-sized skills that they can start practicing to improve their own craft and their own writing, which will help them in the longer term versus just hiring someone to do it for them.
Gotcha. So you're going to have 2 companies that you're starting.
Ain't that a hoot?
Right.
I'm in the middle of so I'll probably end up shifting. I may end up shifting it all under ASAP copy, because it's just easier to remember.
Okay. So I was going to say, you said your fiance, so you're getting married. I was like, how are you going to manage all this stuff that's going on in your life?
I will start at some point. There'll be a point, and I have another, there's another entrepreneur that I've worked with who she is very much an advocate of building out your team. And so that'll be the next evolution of when I get this up and going. What are some of the areas that I could start, working with a team on? So whether it's a virtual assistant or, a web designer or someone, right now I'm at kind of a one-woman show. So it'll get to a point to where I do need to build out a team. So I'm kind of starting to think about that for a little bit down the line. But right now it's very manageable. I mean, it's 2 companies and a wedding, and and a global pandemic,
And a
NBD.
pear tree.
It's
Okay.
fun though. It's fun. So it feels like a lot, but it's not a burden. You know, it's exciting and cool.
Right. So in 2 months, you've launched 2 companies. You have your coaching. It's not a program, it's a membership
Mm-hmm.
that you're starting. You've done a lot in 2 months.
Amazing what happens when you're flying free, right? Yeah, it's been busy. I have friends who are like, so are you enjoying, you know, who don't know necessarily that I've started my companies. They're like, are you enjoying gardening and, you know, like planning your wedding? I'm like, please, I've had to plan that wedding twice because of coronavirus. And the garden, yeah, that's good, but that's not what I'm spending all my time doing.
Right. That's okay. You bring up something that I didn't even think about. So you talked about your friends, right? So when you switch from corporate to being an entrepreneur, what was that like from a social perspective in terms of support?
So I'm very fortunate in that my family and my fiance are extremely supportive, and which I think is absolutely critical in when you're looking at making a pivot is rallying your support team. I was very fortunate that I had support all around. You know, there was still the concern of, is this the right time? Because none of us have ever been in a pandemic like this, and we don't know if I'm crazy, or we don't know if it's the most brilliant thing I've ever done. Like you don't know. But I had the unending support of my family and my fiance. There were some family members I was a little like, I was kind of scared of telling, like straight up scared to tell, because I was like, I can't deal with negative energy, and I just don't like. But when they found out, it was like, they're like, oh, that's so great. I'm happy for you. Congratulations. What did Kurt think? And I'm like, Kurt is 100%, like 100,000,000% supportive, even when I've doubted, you know. But the support's critical. I had a few friends who knew, but by and large, I didn't publicize it a lot initially, because as plans change, things adjust, and the more people you tell, the more you have to go back and retell. So I kept the circle pretty close in the beginning.
Yeah. No, I was the same way. Because like I was on social media, and like LinkedIn was the very last like place that I went to, because like once you go on LinkedIn, I was like, it's real. Like
it's real.
I
actually created a dual. I created Parallel Path LinkedIn because I didn't want the overlap. And so I've got to collapse those now. But yeah, I was kind of a social media weenie when it came to telling people I was doing this. So
it's hard, because a lot of people don't go this route, and a lot of people still want to have the corporate life and don't understand people that want to sort of take this route, because it's not guaranteed. It's not for the faint of heart. It's not easy.
No.
Yeah.
It is your life. Like I understood, because in my last role, I worked with some folks who were like the mad scientist, product inventors, and I admired them, but I was like, this consumes you. Like, y'all, you just give your whole life to it. And now that I'm doing it, I'm like, I totally get it.
Right.
Totally.
Right. It is. It truly is.
But it's fun.
It's a lot of fun. I get to do these. Like,
I know. They're so much fun.
Do these.
Girl, you are living the dream.
Every day.
Every day.
So, is there anything that you wish you would have known about, or you could have like tapped into when you were going through the transition, or that you wish was in creation to help you as an entrepreneur?
I wish. Well, so I don't know how you would solve this, but when you're when I was preparing to leave, or as an entrepreneur?
Either one.
Either one. So preparing to leave, I wish I would have had. Actually, and I wish I would have had like a coach or some kind of resource, that, because you're doing so much that you're doing it on your free time, and you're doing it on your own. And how do you know if you're actually financially preparing enough? I mean, I'm an Excel spreadsheet like nerd, and I was compulsively I had conditional formatting and formulas, and I was like quadruple checking it multiple times a day, and messaging like one of my close friends, and I'm like, I don't know if I have enough. There was a lot of fretting and worry, and so like on one end, it would have been helpful to have maybe to a lesser degree, like someone to kind of help you put the plan in place. Although I did do that, but the big thing was the mindset. Because when you are preparing to leave, how do you make it? Mine was like a 6 or 7 month, I think, like plan. Maybe a little bit longer when you factor in COVID. How do you deal with the mindset of that? Like, cause it's kind of on a marathon, when you run a marathon, your first like 20 miles are a very different game than your last 5 and then your last 1, or, and as you're approaching the finish line. So how do you handle the battleground of your mind as you're going through that? And then from an entrepreneur standpoint, my biggest thing, you get into coaching as fast as you can. That way you find your mentors, you find ones that you can trust and who will over deliver and value to you, and you trust them to help lead you forward. Because especially in a pandemic, you need to have proven leaders, and then cut out all the noise, because as an entrepreneur, your Facebook ads are like ridiculous amounts of offers to do this coaching, do this template, do this, buy this, go this masterclass. And you're like, listen to my coach. I'm going to listen to my coach.
Right. Yes. It's so hard because there is so much noise from everywhere that you're seeing. So yeah. So I have a question for you guys that are out there listening. We talked about coaching. How many of you have had a coach before, and what was your experience? That's what I want to hear now.
And it could even be like, like a sports coach, because that you can make some of the similar analogies. If you ever played, I was a fledgling basketball player in 5th grade, but I had a coach, and they taught me how to dribble, and I never knew how to dribble. Right. So, which I don't know how I got on a team and didn't know how to dribble, but that was fun. But yeah,
That's what the coach was for.
I was a very tall child. I'm almost 6'1" and so they were like, we want, be a tree, girl, be a tree. And that was my role on the team.
Oh my gosh. Again, I'm 5'10". Yes.
Are you, man? Yes. Power to the Amazons. Seriously. Right? Okay. Power to the Amazons.
Yes. I mean, the funny thing about coaching is that a lot of people don't think like, I don't need a coach, or what would a coach do for me? But when you look at things like sports or acting or anything like that, they all have coaches. They all have mentors that sort of help them and guide them. So I think having, somebody to coach you, whether it's in business and life and mindset, whatever, can only help you grow and improve.
Yeah. Well, and what it does is it helps you leapfrog. So I see in the comments that we have another basketball player. So when you join a team and you play basketball, so for me, I didn't know how to dribble. Could I have kind of figured it out? I mean, my dribbling was like, it was getting closer and closer to the ground. So it was just bouncing a ball as it kind of was deflating in my hands. But a coach will help you leapfrog over some of those learnings that would take you 10 times as long to learn and figure it out yourself.
Right. So that was Rodnita. I didn't know you played basketball. I didn't play basketball, even though I have height. Anyway.
I was Boys and Girls Club elementary school was my basketball. That was my tenure. And then I switched to theater, and people were like, oh, like it was a waste. I'm like, no, I got stage presence.
Oh gosh.
She brings up, oh, wait, hold on.
How do you find a coach when you first start out in business, when your funds are tight?
That's actually a really great question. That I don't.
So
do you know?
So I think, there are a lot of ways to look at that question. So coaches are going to have price ranges across the board, right? And you want to find a coach that's right for your specific niche and what you're trying to do, number one, whether it's mindset, whether it's building out, your business, whether it's social media. But a lot of coaches kind of have tiers. So they may have one-on-one coaching that may be a little bit pricier, but then they may have group coaching that is a little bit more, cost efficient. And then they may have books or evergreen like courses that you can do on your own that drops the price down even more. So I think it's being able to look across the board at what the coaches are offering, because maybe one-on-one coaching is out of the price range right now, but maybe like that evergreen, like online training that they have on their website may be more beneficial and more in the price range at the moment. It'll still be, good information. It'll still be valuable, but you'll be doing it on your own. So it may not be as fast of a process if you have somebody there like on you, making sure you're accountable, but it'll still be valuable and still provide you with that information that you need to move forward.
Yeah. So like that's a great example because I'm in a coaching group right now that is I'm in their lower tier where it's more of we have weekly group calls and it's group accountability. It's more group based. And so it drops the price lower, but there's, a level like 2 or 3 up that is like 4 times as much but you get a lot more one-on-one access. So look for those that have that group coaching option is what I would say. And then if they have a Facebook group, that's free, hop in that Facebook group and pay attention to what people talk about and what people share, because you'll have a mixture in that group of paid and free. And you can probably pick up some insights too, as to what they're learning from that. But the accountability piece is really one of the biggest benefits I find of having a coach.
Yeah. Yeah. There are a lot of Facebook groups out there for coaches that are just offering just pearls of information for free to people. Let's see. Stephanie had coaches in high school. She was a flag girl.
Color guard. Awesome.
And
I always admired the flag twirlers in this, because I was so klutzy that it just felt like it would end in disaster, but it was mesmerizing to watch the technique. It was really cool.
So, Stephanie's my sister and I was a flag girl too. I took after her.
Oh, you were? Yeah. Oh, cool. Awesome. We need to have like a flag girl reunion and
right.
I can pretend to dribble a ball.
Oh gosh. Okay. So Ashley, looking back, you now have your company, you were in corporate before. One thing that I always think about is when I was in corporate, success looked a certain way, right? When I was there. But for me, it changed. So I'm wondering from your perspective, how has the definition of success changed for you, or has it?
How has success changed? That's a great question. Corporate. So I've never been great at answering the question in corporate, like, where do you see yourself in 5 years, or where do you see yourself in 10 years?
Never answer that.
I'm like, I see myself not answering this question. That's what I see myself doing. Because how do you and so how I start answering it is, and I only had one boss who appreciated that I answered this way. The rest just stopped asking me. But I would say, where do I see myself? I see myself being happy and fulfilled and challenged in my role and continuing to grow, and kind of more those non-tangibles versus like a position. And so I think in some ways that's carried through on this and it's so much easier to attain now. Like I don't have to wait 5 years for that. It's here and it's now. I think for me too, having my own company has helped me to be more purpose kind of driven in it. So wanting to help overwhelmed entrepreneurs, either those who are just starting their business or those who are already up and going and just have so much on their plate, like being able to help them get some time back and get some of that stress off their plate and like give them the skills to leapfrog over those learnings. That's a very fulfilling. So I think success has been a little bit, some things are coming to the forefront in it, because that was hard for me to find that level, sustain that level of fulfillment in corporate when all the other demands are kind of driving and pulling at you. Right. But I would say it's more purposeful now, and that's how I'm looking at more of success. Like, how can I help people more? And especially for those who are just starting out and don't have the money. So like my monthly, the ASAP Copy Club will be like $27 a month. And because I want it to be accessible to any business owner, and that will include, weekly group training and live Q&As. It'll have recordings of those trainings. They'll get access to a community group, access to a member area where they're given resources. Because I believe that every business owner should have access to a copywriter without having to just like shell out tons of money to pay for them. So I think success is more purpose driven for me now.
Okay. Gotcha. So one more question for you guys. What's your definition of success?
Ooh, I'd love to know this.
Yeah, I want to hear from you.
I'm watching the comments.
When I was in corporate, it was like success is getting your bonus, your 20% bonus, or success is
the promotion.
Promotion, yeah, whatever. And it's funny. I remember having a conversation with my family years ago. We were talking about success, and I could not give them a definition of what success was. They felt like I was successful, but I didn't feel like I was successful, even though I had this job that, people would love to have. I didn't feel successful because I didn't feel like I was giving anything. Like I didn't feel like I had a purpose or, that I was valuable. And so I think in doing what I'm doing now, that's definitely helped me sort of address that need to have a purpose and have something to give to the world and to help other people. So
I love it because it's really hard to feel like you're successful when you get pneumonia for the fourth time, or you're laying on the couch
right.
like wheezing or like popping an anxiety pill. It's very hard to feel successful when you're feeling drugged down.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Awesome. Well, I don't see any success definition, guys. What's going on? Well, I'll give you some time. I know. Oh, wait, there we go. Society seems to define success by your job or your title. Yes.
That's true. Yeah. And that's easily seen when people are like, hi, Erika. Oh, what do you do for a living? Like, That's one of the first questions that, that people ask. And it is hard, it's really hard to answer.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Because that's society's definition, but what's your definition? That's the question.
I mean, when I was in corporate, success would be to find something that's not going to like make me sick or something that's going to make me feel better. It's when you're in a tough spot, it's success. Success then is like the escape for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then you achieve it.
Yeah. All right. Well, that is a very good question. Yeah, it's a hard question to answer. It is. So, well, Ashley, our time has gone by so quickly, dear.
I don't even know how. I don't even know how.
Well, I won't let you go without wrapping up our conversation with my Fab 4 questions. That I asked. Okay. So Fab 4, very simple. Don't think about it too much.
Okay.
It's just the way we wrap up our show because, we like to be different and out of the box. So are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay.
I'm going to totally overthink these. I can feel it.
You would not be the first one to do that, so don't feel bad.
Okay.
So if you had one superpower, what would it be?
Ooh. The first thought that came to my mind, because my house is messy, is like I could be like Thanos and snap my fingers and but my house would be cleaned. Like instant clean, instant lawn mow, because it's like super hot here. Just boom, done.
Okay, Thanos. I am inevitable.
Then I want to be like Thanos, but on the good side.
I'll take that. Okay. If you could have dinner with any 3 people, dead or alive, who would it be?
That is such a hard question. This is the one I overthink because my dad asked me the same thing, but then I started reading into like, well, how are you going to read into my answers, Dad? And then I ended up not answering the question.
Your answers, okay?
Three people. Can we skip that one and go back to it? Can I like hit a pass button and come back?
No. Okay, we'll pass on that one. Okay, we'll come back.
Okay, I know. I'll think of 3. That one's like that's like such a high pressure question.
Okay.
And any names I had, I would like blank. My first thought was Michelle Obama because I read her book and I loved it, and then Trevor Noah because I like listened to his audiobook and loved it. But then I don't know who my third one would be. So I have to think about Yes, I would love to have dinner. I'd love to have dinner with you. Yeah. Yes.
Kidding.
I think maybe like I think this maybe even sound a little like Mother Teresa would be really cool because I love international, but I love her heart, and I would love to pick her brain on what it was like to run her school and to live with just like a like one change of clothes. Like there's just the level of sacrifice and kind of the how to and like how I would just want to pick her brain and So I would say those three. Yeah.
Okay. Michelle Obama, Trevor Noah, Mother Teresa. Okay.
That would be a fun dinner party, wouldn't it?
That would be very interesting. I want to be there, like in the background, just watching and listening. I don't have to get the table, just, somewhere in the room.
Yes. No, you'd be at the table. You'd totally be at the table.
All right. Next one. If you had to choose a song to represent your life, sort of like a theme song, what would it be? And it can be this season of your life. It doesn't have to be like the entire span of your life. It's up to you.
It's so funny you say that because I don't have the songs that pop into your head immediately are not the ones that you would necessarily go with because they so feel cliche. But my fiance was like, "You've been awful sing-songy lately." I'm like, "But they're like the stupid songs, like I believe in a thing called love." Like it's fun, but like the first thing that popped into my head was "We Are the Champions," but I don't feel like that one is it either. So we'll go with the "I believe in a thing called love" because I'm getting married this fall.
Aww.
Yeah, and it's a really fun, like high energy kind of squirrely song.
I love it. That's gonna get added to the list of songs.
Yeah. It's fun. I don't know what they're saying in like half of it, but it's okay.
Okay. We can make up the
memorable. Word. I know I believe in a thing called love.
There you go. And then you just hum the rest of it.
Yeah. I'll do that after we finish here. So the after hours.
Right, exactly. But you can't do it yet because you have one more Fab 4 to do. Okay. And it's a 3-part. It makes no sense, I know.
Okay.
But are you ready? I just need to finish these statements. Just finish the statements. Okay. I love.
Is this the first thing that pops into my head?
Yes.
It was cotton candy. When have I eaten cotton candy?
Okay. I mean, we talked about candy apples, so why not?
I haven't had cotton candy in years, but
Ashley loves cotton candy. All right.
Okay, we'll go with that. It's fun.
Okay. I dream of.
Genie? Not really. I dream. Oh man, you know what? We'll get poignant. I dream of actually having my wedding in October.
Oh,
we'll go with that. It's a little sad, but I just really love the month of October a lot. My eyes are watering from laughing, not from answering that question. October is my favorite month, so I would love to actually get married that month and not have it pushed out.
Yay! Okay, we're gonna hope for that. All right, the last one.
Yes,
I am
happy.
Yay! Yay! I love it.
That was way easier than the 3 people for dinner. Don't tell me what I would choose. My dad actually made that harder by saying, "What are the 3 people that you would invite and what would you eat?" I'm like, "Oh, really? I can't even pick like a thing off a menu. I got to have like rotation items." It just
I would have cookies and pizza with a side of ice cream
and tea.
Yes, and tea.
You have to have tea. Yeah. Oh, Stephanie's anniversary month is October. It's a great month.
Yes, it is. All right. Well, that is all the time we have today, everybody. So, Ashley, thank you so much for being here again.
Thank you.
It's been great. Can you tell the people where they can find you, how they can stay connected to you?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I'm on Instagram at lanecopywriting.com. I'm on Facebook at asapcopy.co. My website, I didn't do this in your order. I'm so sorry. Okay. And then my website is asapcopy.co. If you go there, it'll take you to, if you want to hop on the wait list to join the ASAP Copy Club. That's going to go live next week. So hop on the wait list and be the first to know. We're also, if you're not quite sure about if copywriting is something that, you want to have access to, if you want to like learn it and grow in it, I'll be running a challenge at the end of this month that will help to teach you and give you some bite-sized introduction into writing copy. So if you want to find out more about that, go to asapcopy.co and hop on that wait list and you'll get information on both.
Awesome. I might have to hop on that wait list myself.
Do it, girl. We'll get you writing. We'll get you love in copywriting.
Right. Exactly. I need it, girl.
That's the miracle. That's the miracle goal. So
okay.
Today we'll just get you to hate it a little bit less.
That's a job.
Yes, that's my job.
Right. All right. Well, thank you so much, Ashley. Again, thank you guys for being out there listening, joining, participating. We love it. We are appreciative of you. If you have missed any of the episodes of the show, if you want to catch this one again, it's going to be posted as well on my website, www.drerikabydesign.com. Head on over there, catch some other shows. And while you're there, sign up for our By Design Digest, which is our newsletter where you can stay up to date with what's going on, get little snippets of shows, and we give out tools and tips around living your best life and just being authentically you. So that's all we have for today. Thanks again. Have a great evening, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Bye. Thank y'all.